Hey, I want to welcome Kennesaw Happenings. We have a gentleman that came all the way from Dallas, Georgia. So not as far as Texas. I want Teddy to introduce himself, who he is. Well, before that, you're on the Kennesaw Happening podcast. We're at the Overture Building, a 55 and older community located right by Academy Sports behind QT and Popeyes. So probably if you're in Cobb County person, you know where we're locating. But Teddy came all the way from Dallas. So Teddy, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
My name is Teddy Mathis. I am a local realtor. My brokerage is the Atlanta Communities Office here in West Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
The name of my company is Teddy Bear Realty.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in the real estate business since 2015. And I serve Cobb, Bartow, Paulding, Douglas Polk, that west end
Mm-hmm.
of the city.
Right. So, I knew you when above care lawn care. I knew you when you're in the lawn care business, and of course,
Yes.
when you transition. So, how is running a successful lawn care enterprise different than maybe you're now in the real estate business? Is there a difference, or do you do the same principles? Share with our viewers what your thoughts are there.
Well, business principles are business principles. It's just like gravity. There are certain elements of it that are very similar to running any other business. But the biggest difference, which is a great question, by the way, because the biggest struggle I have in real estate is when I was marketing my lawn care business, I was marketing a service. And in the real estate world, people want to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you specifically bring to the table?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm learning how to market me.
Mm-hmm.
And at networking events all the time, they go, well, what separates you from your competition? And for
Right.
the longest time, I was like, I don't know, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, in real estate, helping you navigate one of the largest investments, or a series thereof, that you'll ever make in your life. And whereas lawn care, I'm taking care of your lawn.
Right.
So there was a huge difference in that.
And it brings me back to the years ago, and I want to bring up the relationship question.
Sure.
I remember when you and Michael, I forget his last name, Michael Davis, were relationship guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you came out when I was living in the West End or West Cobb, it was like that was a natural extension of your business, was the relationship part. Both you and Michael were just good connectors, good relationship builders. Tell our viewers, like, with experience in building a team, which would be what you did in the lawn care business, now you're building more your brand and yourself. What part of relationship would you want our viewers to kind of get a handle on how you perceive that term?
Well, it's the way I still perceive it to this day. People want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's a business principle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in order to be known and to be liked and to be trusted, there are core principles in a human being that you have to operate on. Mm-hmm. And the number one, in my opinion, is integrity. That you are who you say you are. Mm-hmm. You do what you say you're going to do. and you have your customer's best interest at heart, not money. Money will come when you help people get, when you help enough people get what they want, you in turn get what you want.
Great.
And I preached that and quality of service. In today's market, I see too often people don't respect others' time. They truly have a challenge today in listening to what the customer's needs are. You know, I think that's it. I think that if you operate yourself with integrity, that people will want to do business with you.
Wow, that resonates, hits me right between the eyes. I won't give names, but I had a friend of mine that was on a podcast, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, I got something I want you to look at and give me your insight." So I had called this person, and I didn't get a call back. So I showed up. Now, showing up with a motivated buyer, to us, you and I are about the same age, whatever, at least within a few years. We always learn, if somebody's wanting to give you money, you don't run from it.
Right. You go get it.
Yes. It's like, so I asked the person, and the person says, I said, "Could you take 5 minutes and show him this part of the property?" "No, I can't do that. I have a training I got to get ready for." What? A training I got to get ready for. Both of us are podcasters. Now, what do podcasters have in common? They're usually influencers. They echo their stories, voices. And I have to get ready for a training? Come on. Ready? And then I go to the other person, almost the same thing. I'm going, we walk out, and she said, "Well, can you come back Friday or Thursday or Friday?" And he said no, and I said no. So we walk out, and we're like, what is the younger generation using as these are core principles? And so for you in business, as you build your relationship, speak to the next generation, because everybody has a different spin, and I'm not trying to throw negative or throw stones at a glass window, because we all have our challenges. Sure. However, texting and being glued to a phone is not exactly a relation building tool in my eyes, because you have to engage, you have to look at the person, you got to listen, like you said, listen. If somebody's giving you a buying signal like, "Hey, I want this guy to see this because he may be wanting to move in," you're not saying, "Well, I can't take your money right now." So anyway, I got to get off my soapbox. Okay, let's get back. I'm really curious about, too, we both had a little bit of a health challenge. What have you done, like, in getting back to, in the swing of things? Because you've had a health challenge like myself, and other people are out there. We don't always get the cards we don't know the cards that are being dealt us. But what have you done to kind of keep moving and doing things that would allow you to get back to what you were doing before? Is there anything you've overcome that you can share?
I'll answer your first question of what would I say to the younger generation. And I do have a interesting spin on it. We communicated differently than our parents.
Yep.
Our age group of people are the initial people who developed most of what we have today. Right. And the younger generation took that way beyond. So in some ways, the younger generation, the way that they build relationship is different than us.
Right.
Ours of going face to face. That was our way of building relationship. We had to learn certain skill sets, like how do you dress, mirroring your prospect, if you will, things of that nature. That some of this is still in progress. This younger group, they are figuring out and have figured out a lot of ways that through text, through social media, through all these new things, of how to build relationships. But I would suggest that not to throw away the face-to-face. Now, again, we're doing this over a computer.
Right.
That's a wonderful thing to do. Develop people skills. What I see the most in, or where we're at in this evolution, if you will, is when we do get together, there is an awkwardness, because my children were raised behind computer screens and phone screens. So it's just different. I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not one of these old guys that go, oh my God, you just don't know, No, actually it's just different.
Good point.
To always take from the past. See, that's what we did, is that we took, for a meeting, for example, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late, because you do have to prepare for the meeting. You do have to fight traffic, and somebody's probably done something. And so when you're going and talking with people, you have to be in the proper mindset. Today, everything is, it's almost chic to be late. That's a horrible habit to be in. One, you've got to learn to live with margin anyway in your calendar, for your own mental health. So that would be my suggestion to them. Now, as you said, this health challenge, candidly, you and I both had strokes. Praise God, the effects were minimal to me. Thank God. I did lose sight in my left eye, and my left side was affected and so forth. But overcoming is in you. You can develop that. But in my opinion, you were made to overcome. We know that from history. That's how we develop. And you got a choice, really. It is your choice. You can either sit, and I did, don't get me wrong, I did have my pity party, and I did go through all of those stages. But eventually, you've got to look yourself in the mirror, and you've got to say, am I going to lay here and whine? And because there's nothing you can do about it. Like you said, we were not expecting to get up one morning or one afternoon and end up in a hospital and our lives affected for the rest of our life. No, we weren't expecting that. But what do you do now? Because one of the great things I learned from having this stroke and laying in a bed is that I've only got one day that I can count on, and that is right now. And I can't even count on this whole day. It's this moment. And so what am I going to do? Am I going to win? Because winners don't just roll over. If you study any major sports franchise, you study the greats of any sport. You're a golfer. I'm a golfer. Arguably, the two greatest golfers of all time, Arnold Palmer and Tiger Woods. The commitment that they had and the mindset they had is, I am going to win. And that's the decision that has to be made, whether it's health-wise, it's to be honest with you, I have struggled more. I've owned 4 successful companies. This is my 5th that I started. This has been the most difficult for me. but I will win.
Right.
I'm going to overcome whatever obstacle
Right.
that I have to. And if that's including doing it with one eye, if that's included doing it with a skill set that I do not possess, I
Right.
will possess it. And that's really based in my faith, though, Pete.
Right.
And I'm not trying to throw my faith on anyone or anything like that, but I'm very proud. I've seen my God come through for me over and over and over. And so I have confidence that if I just don't quit and I do my part, God's going to do his part, and that's the extraordinary.
Right.
And you know my background. There's no way in the world that I was supposed to own 4 successful companies. Right. Not because I was born on that side of the track.
Right.
I come from a very poor family, grew up in a very poverty-stricken area in the Appalachian Mountains, and I was never supposed to do that. Was I skilled to do that? Yeah, God had gave me some ability.
Right.
But I've seen he loves us, Pete.
Right. Absolutely.
And he wants the best for us.
Right.
The Bible says that you know how much you love your children, and we all know that. How much we would give our very lives for our children. He says that doesn't even compare to the way I love you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that relationship, God did make you in his image anyway.
Right.
So you're capable of amazing, great things. But when you add in your dad that made it all and owns it all, there's no limit to what you can do.
I love that. And I heard and I totally agree with you. And I think when you go through what we went through, this guy called it mortality motivation.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you stare death in the mirror and you survive, you definitely take one day at a time. You're present. You have a different mindset because you aren't guaranteed tomorrow. So my thing, I would always tell people, well, how did that affect you? My faith went from black and white to technicolor. Because you definitely change when all of a sudden it could have been over.
Yes.
And just to shepherd, the lady said, sweet nurse, she said, "Hey, can I share something personal with you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Wow. I can't even move. So yes, what do you have to share?" She said, "You know, where you had your stroke, a lot of people don't survive." And then she said, "And if they do, they're a lot worse than you. So you had a little angel watching after you." And I said, "Thank you, Anya." I mean, to hear her perspective, who is treating people that go through a stroke like us, and put it in proper perspective of, you know what? God's given you another day.
Absolutely.
Second chance. So I think our attitude is more like, when you get a second chance, what's the old saying? You grab it and run with it.
Got it.
So being present, I love that. I love that what you said there. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So when you're with a prospect or with a person you're building a relation with, you're now totally different than you were, say, 10 years ago, because you have had death stare you in the face and you're on the other side of that. So you're being more present. You're more like appreciating every day. So what would you, we have the advantage of staring death in the face. If a person's out there listening, they don't have that motivation. What would you tell them that could help them really be present or have that gratitude mindset, what would you tell?
That's such a great question, because I look back on it and I go, when I was younger, I'd heard this, I had heard people say, be present, live for today. You're not promised tomorrow, just like what we're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that wasn't real to me. And, there was a country song, Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what that meant. I was always planning for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not saying do not plan for the future.
Right.
I'm saying that was my whole thing. Well, it will be great when. Well, just like I had that same exact talk. I actually had a doctor that she did not believe in the same God, at least that I do.
Right.
And she said the same thing. Yeah, I'm amazed that you're not hurt worse than you are. I had 3 strokes actually, and 2 of them were major, in horrible places in my brain that it decided to go.
Right.
And she said, at least people who has the kind of strokes that you had are completely paralyzed.
Right.
And I drove here today and I walked here, and with that, I would encourage young people, and I think, Pete, though, I think this is one thing that the younger people do possess a little bit more realization of is don't forget what life is. It's not your business. That's a part of your life. Understand your priorities. Live like tomorrow is not here, because the fact is, just like us with health, we know X amount of people die on our interstates every day.
Right.
People, there's a lot of ways that you never know. Life is a beautiful, wonderful thing, even with all its challenges.
Right.
And, in the Christian faith, I see a lot. I was a preacher for 19 years. And I would always see them, well, when we get to heaven, it's going to be great.
Right.
We have to go through hell here on earth. No, you do not. That is asinine.
Right.
We do not serve a God that put us here for us to be here for 50, 60, 80 years of misery. That is asinine.
Right.
You can enjoy your life. And I suggest you do. Now, be smart. No doubt about it.
Right.
Because when you get our age, you need some money that was put up. You need some things like that. You need to be smart. But I would definitely encourage, live like tomorrow is not promised. Love big. That wife or that husband and those children, that is your world.
Right.
The second part is in the Bible. The apostles were all sitting around the campfire, and they said, Rabbi. They was talking to Jesus. And they said, what is the greatest of all the law?
Right.
And what they were asking there is, we definitely don't want to break that one. You know? And he said, without hesitation, by the way, if you read, he said, love your God with all your heart. And that conjunction means this is just as important as the first. Right? He said, and love your neighbor as yourself. Then the most important line of all, he said, and all the law rest on these 2 things.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge in our society here in America is that we have become very rude. We think we can just say anything to anybody because we've been behind these screens.
Right.
And I would say for that that next generation is understand what love is. And even if you're not a believer, just grab a Bible, go to 1 Corinthians. It's kind of more toward the back end of the book, to chapter 13. And it tells you exactly how to be loving to another human being. Love is kind, love is patient, love is long-suffering, and that. Develop that skill. Because as we talked about before, where is that important in business? Is that people want to do business with people they know and they like and they trust. That like is that. And Jesus said one of the things he was most proud of. Now, this is the Son of the Almighty. He said, I have found favor with myself. I have found favor with man, and I found favor with my Father. You notice he didn't leave out the man.
Yes.
So love everybody. Be kind to everybody. That costs you absolutely nothing.
Right.
And there are some very hard people to love in this world based on our personalities and our raisings and that. And I tell people, I'll love you regardless. Now, whether I can love you close or I have to love you from afar, I'm still going to be kind. I'm still going to be patient with you. I'm still going to be long-suffering. All those things that the Bible says. But I am going to be loving and to all. And I believe one of these days, that Bible says that we will stand before the throne of God,
right,
and we will give an account. And I believe that when I stand there, at least those two. Now, don't get me wrong. I get mad on the interstate just like everybody else. Right. I get, hey, I am human, but I have concreted that in my person that I'm going to love you no matter what.
Well, I like to, and those are such words of wisdom from a person that has lived his life devoted to relationships, developed to that philosophy that you had. And I want our viewers to know, because this is the only way I feel. Real estate is knowing your local market.
Sure.
And so you want a relationship with a person in the local market, not somebody from Gwinnett County is going to help you over in Cobb County. So tell our viewers that how would they get a hold of you? What can they do to the Dallas area? I know you're in that area, that what you explained, but just tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you.
I've had the same cell phone number since 1996.
Ooh.
It is 770-235-7711. Now, the most effective way to initially get in touch with me is to text. I'm in a lot of meetings, and that just gives me a little flexibility.
Right.
You could email me if you choose. It's teddy@tbrealty.biz.
Okay.
Don't misspell realty. It is REALTY.biz, BIZ. Or you can Google my name, Atlanta Communities Teddy Mathis. Those all are great ways to get in touch with me.
And for our Atlanta traffic people that are listening, we'll put in the show notes the link so you can get a hold of Teddy. So don't feel like I don't want you to be sidetracked driving.
Right.
Stay focused on the road, and we'll get you that information. And I tell you what, we'll see what we can do I like that verse that you took our viewers to, so we'll try to put a link to that specific verse.
And in my other social media, Instagram, TikTok, as you can tell by this wonderful Appalachian accent that I possess, I go by The Country Talking Realtor.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yes.
Go to that.
We'll put a link of that in the show notes. So, and that's easy to remember too. So even it out there. So as we finish up, what would you, if you were out there, what would be the one thing you want our viewers to take home from our time here this morning? what one insight or something you want to share with our viewers?
Be good to people. Serve. The business owners today are all too often, like you said a while ago, they want you to serve their need. Can you come back at this time? Can you do that? There's learn to serve people. And a part of serving people is, can we meet tomorrow at 10 a.m.? No, I can't. But I can, let's figure it out. And if you love and serve your fellow humanity, there is no limit to success you can have.
I love that. Man, you gave us a double bonus on. Usually I get one insight, and that is two. So thank you, Teddy. We appreciate you driving all the way over here to Kennesaw and being with us in the studio. So thank you for your time and
thank you for
sharing with our viewers. You're welcome.
My pleasure.